As you may guess, I'm a YouTuber and YouTube is flashbanging me, and this is something you may not experience if you are a regular YouTube viewer and not a creator. To manage their channels, creators do not use the main YouTube website, but instead use a subdomain. This is YouTube Studio, where you upload your videos, edit descriptions, access analytics, reply to comments, and do all the things typically associated with running a YouTube channel. Even on mobile, YouTube Studio is a separate app, distinct from the regular YouTube app. But let's get back to the web version, as this is the way most creators manage their channels. And this website has one serious problem that in my case causes physical discomfort, pain, and in some cases even headaches. Most users these days have dark theme enabled everywhere. I'm no exception. I have dark theme enabled in the browser itself, and most websites are set to dark mode. However, when I open YouTube Studio, for a brief second a white background is visible before it quickly changes to a dark one. And this is beyond annoying, especially when you work in a darkened room as a YouTuber. I may need to open this website dozens or even hundreds of times each night, and that flashbang causes physical discomfort. Again, it only happens in Studio, not regular YouTube website. Why YouTube Studio flashes white, but regular YouTube doesn't? This is a classic flash of unstyled content, FOUC, caused by the timing of when dark mode styles are applied, and Studio is architecturally different from the main site in a key way. The root cause, JavaScript-dependent theming. YouTube Studio is a single-page app SPA built with Angular. Its dark mode is applied by JavaScript specifically. It reads your theme preference stored in a cookie or logs order, then adds a CSS class, like dark theme or similar, to the body or root element after the JS bundle has loaded and executed. The core problem is the browser renders the HTML first. Since the body starts with a white background by default, for the brief window between HTML parsed and JS executes and applies the dark class, the page is white. Why regular YouTube doesn't have it? The main youtube.com site uses a different rendering approach. It's server-side rendered SSR, or at minimum uses inline style or critical CSS injected directly into the head that sets the background color before the page paints. This means the dark background is established before the browser ever draws a single pixel. The problem is that the HTML is generated long before it reaches the user's device in a server-rendered context, but the color scheme can be embedded directly into the HTML, whereas in a client-rendered app, the theme is applied only after JS runs. On a new window, there is no cached page shell, no BF cache, back-forward cache, and the browser starts from a completely blank white canvas. The JS bundle has to be refetched and executed from scratch, making the delay and therefore the white flash more noticeable. On a reload of an existing tab, it can be slightly masked by the previous page's painted state still being visible, and some browsers preserve scroll position and partial paint. The correct fix, which Google hasn't applied to Studio. The well-known solution is to add a small render blocking script tag in the head before the page renders that reads the stored theme preference and immediately sets the class on HTML or body. Because it's render blocking, the browser won't paint anything until the correct background color class is already applied. Google does this on the main YouTube site, but apparently hasn't applied it to Studio, likely because Studio is an internal tooling SPA that receives less polish on rendering performance than the consumer-facing product. There's nothing you can do on your end to fix it. It's a bug oversight on Google's side in how Studio bootstraps its theme. You could use a browser extension like Dark Reader as a workaround, which applies dark styles at the browser level before page paint, bypassing the issue entirely. And you need to actually turn it off for already dark websites such as YouTube, since Dark Reader does a terrible job on already dark websites. So Dark Reader will not help in this case. I tried a few solutions. I use Firefox as my main browser and have done so for the past 20 years or so, and it is very easy to change that background in the settings. However, that brings another problem. Some websites do not have a background at all, like AliExpress for example, and if you change this default white background to a dark color, AliExpress becomes unusable. However, there is a solution, and a very simple one. Just block this annoying element from loading by using an ad blocker. As a YouTuber, I am of course anti-ad block in principle, as it causes real and significant losses for myself. But I understand that until YouTube does something concrete about it, viewers will continue to use ad blockers. Anyway, by adding this custom filter that will only work on the YouTube Studio domain, we can block the loading of that white background and the website will stop flashbanging you. It will load straight to the dark background without the intermediate one. The approach is pretty straightforward. uBlock origin lets you inject custom CSS via My Filters. You want to set the background color of HTML or body to Studio's dark background immediately. So even before JS runs, the canvas is already dark. Steps: open uBlock origin dashboard, then My Filters tab, add this line studio youtube.com usp HTML style band color number 282828. Important, cal 282828 is YouTube Studio's actual dark mode background color. This cosmetic filter injects the style directly onto the HTML element before the page paints, so the browser never gets a chance to show white. Why this works? uBlock's cosmetic filters with style are injected via a content script that runs at document start, the earliest possible moment, before the DOM is even fully parsed. So the dark background is set before the first paint, exactly like the render blocking script fix that Google should be doing themselves. There are some caveats, of course. This fix only applies in dark mode. If you ever switch Studio to light mode, you'd need to remove the filter, or it'll make the initial background too dark. You could make it conditional by also checking, does Studio even have a light mode toggle? It does, but most people leave it dark permanently. If Google updates Studio's dark background color, the hex might drift slightly and you'd notice a very brief color mismatch instead of a white flash, much less jarring, but worth knowing. Alternative hex: if number 2828 feels slightly off on your screen, number 1F1F or number 212121 are close neighbors used in other parts of Studio's dark theme. This is a clean surgical fix, no extensions beyond what you already probably use, no performance impact, no side effects on any other site. This will work in any browser that supports uBlock origin, which I use to avoid clicking on ads on my own videos, which is punishable by Google, or any ad blocking mechanism that allows custom filters. At the time of making this video, Google has finally threatened to discontinue support for ad blocking extensions in newer versions of Google Chrome. So maybe it's time to switch away from it if you still want to receive browser updates.
I am the god of YouTube. Like, subscribe, jingle bells.